The Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is here alongside the Galaxy S23 Plus and Galaxy S23, and we can finally move past the leaks and rumors and into real and official territory. We've had some quality time with all three devices and would like to share some initial thoughts, how they feel, what's new, and what isn't. Let's start with a few similarities to last year's models. For one, the formula hasn't changed. We're still getting an Ultra, a Plus, and Vanilla, and their position, relative to the other, has also remained the same. The Ultra is the no-holds-barred flagship phone. The Galaxy S23/S23 Plus are more affordable with a few sensible omissions. Size is also a factor. Just like last year's models, the Ultra is the biggest in more ways than one, physically, screen-wise, and battery-wise. As before, there are some key similarities between the three models. The biggest one is the underlying chipset. All three models use the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, this one a custom-tuned version for these three devices specifically. Samsung and Qualcomm call it the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 mobile platform for Galaxy, and it's basically a higher-clocked version of the familiar new chip. The Ultra still has the upper hand in performance, thanks to the option of 12 GB of RAM, while the S23/S23 Plus max out at 8 GB. The Galaxy S23 Ultra looks and feels familiar. You'd be excused for thinking it's a minimal upgrade over the Galaxy S22 Ultra. But you'd also be incorrect. If we agree that the camera, performance, and battery life are the key areas where a phone can be upgraded, then the Galaxy S23 Ultra is a major upgrade over the Galaxy S22 Ultra. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 brings moderate to big improvements to performance. Judging by some early benchmarks, the Cortex-X3 inside is 10% to 20% faster than the Cortex-X2 inside the Exynos 2200 in single-core tests. Multi-core scores for the new processor can be 30% to 60% better depending on the benchmark. The GPU is much faster as well. Samsung steered clear from naming percentages, but games like PUBG Mobile cap at around 60 frames per second on the Exynos 2200 powered Galaxy S22 Ultra, while Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 devices supports gameplay at up to 120 frames per second. Synthetic scores aside, the new chip is much more efficient and less prone to thermal issues. Per specs alone, it's some 40% more efficient than its predecessor, which in itself was more efficient than the Exynos 2200, which was predominantly featured in the Galaxy S22 series globally. That means the Galaxy S23 Ultra will likely manage to squeeze more hours from its 5000 mAh battery pack. That's your major battery improvement done. Finally, the new 200MP main camera could prove a generational upgrade over the old 108MP. The new sensor can output both 12MP and 50MP photos, depending on the scenario. And you can get those 50MP through the Expert RAW app, bringing prosumers a richer and sharper baseline. Night photography and video have also been improved. In comparison to the Ultra, the Galaxy S23 and Galaxy S23 Plus are incremental updates. The biggest upgrade is the move to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which will carry with it better general performance and battery endurance. The batteries have gotten a 200 mAh bump on both models, making for a total of 3,900 mAh and 4,700 mAh on the S23 and S23 Plus, respectively. The rest of the Galaxy S23/S23 Plus specs read similarly to their predecessors. You get a mostly unchanged triple camera setup, wide, 3x, and ultra-wide on the rear, and a 12MP selfie on the front, that's shared between all three models. The 6.1-inch and 6.6-inch 1080x2340px Dynamic AMOLED 2x 120Hz displays are also straight out of last year's Galaxy S22 and S22 Plus. Samsung made the decision to remove the contoured camera island on the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus. It brings the pair in line with the flatter, more minimalist look of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Samsung calls it a linear design across all models. Some might call it overly simple, even boring. All three models come in 4 colors: Phantom Black, Cream, Green, and Lavender. All three are also covered in the new Gorilla Glass Victus 2, these are the first devices to use the material. That's it for the general outline of the new Galaxy S23 series. It paints a picture similar to 2022. The Galaxy S23 and Galaxy S23 Plus aren't compelling upgrades for owners of the previous generation, while the Ultra model can be, depending on your needs. There's no addition as big as last year's inclusion of an S Pen, but sometimes refinement is just as important as innovation.